Oh man, Corey, am I laggy right out of the gate?
Well, names being laggy. So, guys, this is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we're bringing the best information because we cut through narratives and deliver what we think is the biggest opportunity of our lifetimes, which is the crypto space, where we're going to use crypto as that wealth creation tool and use real estate and maybe some real world assets like oil and gas or whatever have you for wealth preservation. And we're bringing us, our family, our friends, our entrepreneurial type world that we've been part of for the last 10 years along for this massive ride where we feel like this is the time, the place where we could change the trajectory of our lives. So let's see if we can get Dane back in here for our show. This is going to be a fun one today. We are going to be talking about how Dumpther strikes again and he brings the most, in my opinion, sophisticated scam to Pulse Chain. Man, he was big brained on this, and we'll discuss it and why I think that. Dane, are you? Is your audio okay? He's still adjusting, and while he's doing that, we're gonna just visit the chat real quick. We got the Ink Token Maxi saying, "Let's go." What's going on, Briz, man? How you doing, brother? Come on Friday show, bro. Let's chat it up. I always love chatting to Briz. I was able to do a DCA into Ink about a week and a half ago because I aim to be like Brizology when it comes to the Ink Token Maxi King. So, he's there doing it. I love it. And we got Urban Productions. Man, it wasn't Solid X that did the elaborate scam, was it? I don't think it was, bro. And I don't think it was the RH tickers either. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that wallet is swapping into all RH tickers out of like the meme coins, which is kind of funny. Which I could see Mr. Dumpther doing that.
Were they doing that, or were they? I thought they were selling it all down. I thought that was.
They've been accumulating some RH tickers too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's some belief there in the RH assets, which I think Dumpther does have that. Now, Dumpther does dump sometimes because I think he dumps when he needs money. The guy is basically broke. He's a hex shark, but he's got his stakes so pushed out that he has no liquidity now, no money now, and the guy's, he's starving. And so it's just once again,
do we actually had confirmation that wallet's associated with Gunther? I saw a lot of conjecture last night. I didn't see any real confirmation.
So here's my reasoning. So in the midst of the scam, the PulseLatina.farm messaged, hey, Pulse Latina never existed. She was a paid actor. You Hexicans never acknowledged my work, always dumping on me, always making fun of me. Now your tokens is in better hands. Now I shall remain a shadow player forever, which is always Gunther's saying. I will go and remain a shadow player forever. He did this last time when he deleted his account over on Twitter. So he's leaving clues, which, man, if I was a scammer, I would not be leaving any clues because, man, just because some people are going to brush it off like it's nothing, there are people out there, as we know, we live in a world where if they can find you, and I know he's been doxxed to a point because of the Pulse Bitcoin community, he's been with him in person at the location that was near his house. I think even some people have been to his house. And so, I saw
people posting a copy of his. I don't know if it's real, but it appeared to be his driver's license for an address associated with New York. I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised somebody hasn't gone out and
there
care of some business there yet.
Yes, there are people who will do that. Literally over a few $1,000s in life. You take somebody for 20, 40, 50. Then these people's life savings. I saw somebody, this is heartbreaking. Somebody had lost their house money. So they sold their house, they put it in RH tickers, and then they sold the RH tickers, or they were put it in the Pulse Latina farms, and that got rugged. And so like you're seeing stories like that kind of coming out now. And like, I mean, it just takes one guy who's had, a bit of a seedy background or who does not really care about life too much to show up at your doorstep and do to you
What you deserve,
yeah,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
I agree. It's something I could never do. But once again, if it was me, I would be taking a step back and analyzing why I got scammed, what I did wrong. Take a step back. It's me that's the issue, right? The scammers are going to exist, and they're not going to stop existing. It's just how this works, right? We live in the wild, wild west of finance, and I'd be wondering what I did to put myself in that situation and what I could do to mitigate that situation from happening to me again. And so that's where I would be kind of like, how I'd be analyzing this if I was involved.
Yeah.
Not involved. And,
And it looks like, yeah, I mean, it looks like I'm with you. So the verbiage was the same as what he said before, but yeah, I don't know if anyone's actually tracked anything back yet. So I'm gonna hold back. I'll hold back my
not me, man. I'll gladly,
criticism.
I'll gladly point fingers at Dumpther because even if it's not him for some reason and they're trying to like put the blame on him, he's still
He
a
still deserves
nefarious
it.
actor. Like
Yeah.
whatever, man, you're a nefarious actor and you've scammed the community multiple times over and over and over again. Like, why wouldn't they point the finger at him? And it could be like an elaborate hoax to kind of get the community to point to him, right? Like that would be a smart scammer. I mean, the scam itself was very elaborate. Like, here's the thing, man. If I wanted to scam a community, like, why would I just launch a token and pull the liquidity? You're going to get like maybe $5,000, $10,000, max if you're doing that. Maybe a little bit more if you've built up this like, this image with a hot girl. And but man, what's more elaborate now? Let's create a DEX with yield farming on that DEX with multiple tokens, and let's get everyone to deposit their liquidity into this new DEX where they're going to get high APYs of all these different farms. And then like not only rug that, but get them to get approvals in their wallet to access their tokens in these farms, and vice versa, and then drain their wallets. I mean, like, dude, this is
Were
layered.
wallets actually being drained? Because I know the
Yes.
token got rugged, and I know the LPs
Yes.
all got pulled from the farms.
Yep.
Were wallets
There was
drained?
approvals. There was approvals where the actual these
I
wallets
saw
are being
that, but was
drained
there
overnight.
anybody actually saying their wallet was drained from the approvals?
Yeah, because when the rugging first happened, he got around $400,000 or $450,000 from the liquidity farms, and then the actual LP from the token. And then over the course of the night, he's almost at $1 million now of money that he's taken from the community from
Really?
pulling. Yeah, still
I
pulling.
saw it was like 600K when I looked yesterday. It's
It's
close
almost
to
$1 million
$1 million.
now. It's wild, bro. Like, dude,
Uh,
that's such an elaborate scam. Like, God. And maybe it is not Dumpther, and that's a good point because this person is relatively smart, a lot smarter than I would think Dumpther would be. And so, like, hey, let's point to the biggest scammer on Pulse Chain, and everybody will chase him, and I can exit stage left. Ooh, man, it goes deep, man. This is like, it's just a movie, man, that we get to watch. I did not participate in any of this stuff.
no.
I watched it. I didn't know if she was a scammer or not, before, but it did feel funny. And so I was like, whatever, you do your thing. And I didn't participate in any of it. I just, maybe I've learned my lesson after so many licks. I don't know, right? And I was like, that's not for me. And I love yield farming, man. I love some good APYs, and I love some, especially when we're doing some sideways action or downward type price charts. Yeah, I love that stuff. And so, like, it's just like, that wasn't for me at all, man. But the thing is, man, sex sells, right? Sex sells. It's always a way of getting, people into your scam.
Well, I
sex
didn't
sells.
even think like I didn't, at least I didn't, once again, I haven't been paying that close attention, but I didn't even think any of the stuff from the Pulse Latina account was real racy, was it?
Not real. It was done well.
Yeah.
It was done really well, man. And yeah, she was out there promoting Hex and Pulse Chain and everything about it, putting stickers up. And then she had these videos of like, oh, everyone's calling me a scammer, or I have OnlyFans and da da da. I'm actually here, coding on Pulse Chain. And like, it's just funny, man. And I know they were able to track where the actor, I guess, was hired from. And she was hired from out of like, I think it's what was it? I posted it earlier today in our community. But they found her. It was somewhere in South America.
Yeah, I think it was
They were,
in Brazil or something like that.
yeah, they were able to find her. And so yeah, man, it's interesting. It's very interesting, very elaborate scam. Like, let's build a farm, pull all the liquidity out of a farm, and then in their wallet, man. It is wild. That is wild to me.
It
So
is. It's pretty, I mean, the level of sophistication is reasonably high. I agree. It's interesting to see. I'm telling you, like, if you're watching the show and you're new, I'll give you a really easy guardrail. There's no such thing as any hot girls in crypto, not one. So if you just use that as a filter and you say any hot girls that want to come in and try to build something or create something in some way, get your tokens, you can automatically just filter all that out. On the chance that there's one or two, you're not going to miss out on anything. It's all right.
no, right. Like, and that was my thing on it, right? Like, even if like, okay, I missed out on this opportunity, no big deal. Like, it's the thing. This is crypto, man. These opportunities are a dime a dozen, man. Especially as right now, as we're kind of heating up into the bull run or getting ready for the next altcoin season. Like, there's not going to be. You're going to have so much opportunity, man. Like, you don't have to go chasing.
All you gotta do is make it to 2025. You've got to survive till 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just do that in good assets, I mean, we've talked about a lot on here. We like the RH tickers primarily as our main holdings. If you can just be there and be patient, gosh, I think you're going to be rewarded in a really heavy way. There was a clip taken from Rand's show. He talked about, what was the term that he used? I think he called it like a hate pump or something like that, where he was describing this pump where essentially I thought he was describing the RH ecosystem really well, where he said you've got to go and you hear it a lot about, where Richard, when he was streaming before, he talked about how you got to rinse out the weak hands. You've got to get it to a place where the chart's found a bottom. You've got to get it to a place where there's really only believers left and there's not any hardly pressure. Yeah. And then and the community, and most people are looking at it, doing victory laps, saying this isn't working, it's failed. And then and only then can you have one of these gigantic parabolic pumps that people just don't see coming, at least the non-believers. And I think we're freaking close to that. I mean, the ETH ETF, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, we're freaking close to that happening, having money inflows there. And I'd be willing to bet the DeFi as a whole starts to see a lot more life into it once you start to see ETH start to move. And so, it's easy to get bored. It's easy to, get complacent, but like, make it to 2025. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's very easy to get bored, and that's when you focus on other things in your life. Go out and create a business. That's a great way to not only grow yourself but grow your wealth, right? While you're waiting for crypto to happen, spend time with family. You carve out time on your calendar to do things and have events with your family where literally you're going to leave your crypto laptop at home. You're not going to look at charts, and you'll notice you'll come back and everything is the same because we're in this dull, like, nothing is going on time. Like, okay, you want to get a DCA in, man, you got a lot of time still. Like, you can get a DCA next week. You can probably get a DCA the week after that. And probably the week after that. There's like, this is not going to shoot to the moon overnight, and you're not missing nothing. That's it. It's so simple. Now, you can be involved, but be careful when you're involved, and don't go falling for freaking hot chicks. Like you said, Dame, there is no hot chick that is going to give you opportunity in crypto. It's just not how it works, man. It's not.
Unfortunately,
If there is,
unfortunately.
unfortunately, if there is, okay, whatever. Like, let that opportunity pass you by. Like, you don't need to get involved. Like, crypto and sex do not mix. I'm sorry.
It never does.
It's just not how this works. Oh my gosh. And if you need, go to the, you know, where you can go out, guys, and actually get laid, or go, you know, if you want to go do it in the real world, go to the bars, go to the clubs, go find your whatever you're looking for, whatever you need. Don't go finding it on freaking crypto Twitter. It's not there. It's just not there, right? And so, like, go out in the real world and get it. And that could be your focus off of crypto for a little while. Is going out in the real world and getting a girl. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, it's wild to me, you know. But I mean, I get it. Sex sells. It's just,
Yeah. Yeah. Some really good comments here. This is interesting. So Molly has some more context. Yeah, I saw pics in the wrecked Hex Plebs telegram of Gunther's girlfriend. They looked like Pulse Latina's mom, or maybe older sister. So it doesn't look great. Gunther's known wallets have also been very active during this rug. Interesting.
Yeah, if it's him, man, I know people know where he lives, or at least where he used to live. I mean, I remember when the Pulse Bitcoin meetups were going on, like, he was very doxxed and very, like, you know, he invited people into his personal life. And so, man, I would just, oh gosh, man, I tell you what, man, there's no amount of money where I can sit there and not sleep at night, because I know there's going to be a knock at my door one day where, yeah. Not that this, that also, like, when I pass away and I go visit the big man, I'm not going to want that over my shoulder, man. It's like, oh my gosh.
I actually think this is a really legitimate comment. Yeah, until RH can figure out how to be a leader again, the bleed will continue. So I would add some more context here. I think Richard is a good leader when he's able to be. I would go as far as to say that with his current lawsuit, he can't come out and do the things. He can't come out and do the streaming and do all that type of stuff. You just can't be as public when you have a lawsuit like this. So I think his hands are tied in a lot of respects. I think he's largely doing what he can from Twitter and things of that nature, which is kind of what we get. But I agree. I think
recorded videos.
I think it's critical. I'm telling you, we've talked about it on the show multiple times. Some of you guys disagree with us. I think it's critical for Richard to come back and come back in a big way to really get some of these huge numbers. Like, you need leadership, you need to rally the troops, you need to focus them in a direction. And people have the memory of a goldfish, and you see, unfortunately, things like this repeat. And I think you could at least get some focus with the community with Richard being able to come back. And we hope it's later this year. A lot of cases have been dismissed more recently that are relatively similar in some respects to Richard's case. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some nice clarity around that sooner than later. So we'll have to see.
Yep, same. And I always say, guys, that's one of the thrusters on the rocket ship. Like, you know, and I'll go over it again. I love going over them. One, ETH ETF inflows. Two, clarity in the SEC case. And I just say clarity is all we need. Three, RH streaming again, which I could argue RH streaming again could be more powerful than the ETH inflows, even though there's two wallets that we know that have over 310,000 ETH. I would say if he wants to, like, conservatively not have to worry about, you know, if there's wallets connected that do inject liquidity or maybe not, like, just start streaming again, man. And that would absolutely pump the price chart. And then 4, man, is privacy, right? We see them building over on testnet. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see a lot of the front running stopping, and I think that would be powerful, and it would bring in a lot bigger money, and also it would be out of necessity for what, you know, the big money that likes to buy now. And so those are the rocket ship thrusters. And yeah, RH streaming, man, God, that could be a big one. It really can. And I think we do get it, Dane. I think you're right. I think it is just because the lawyers are saying, hey, do this, don't say this. Okay, you could tweet that. Oh, you want to do a video? Let us go over the video after you're done, and we're going to delete like half of it. That's what it is. That's where we're at right now. And I know that because I've been in lawsuits before, and the attorneys are always guiding me when I'm in a lawsuit how to interact with the person that I'm in a lawsuit with, right? It's just part of the deal. And right now, the public and the SEC, because they're the ones watching everything he's doing. So, like, why wouldn't the attorneys be like, look, you're going to run everything through us first because we're going to make sure that we're getting you out of this mess, right? And not dig a deeper, not going to dig a deeper hole. And I just, the community doesn't realize that. And if you've been in
Well, it's
lawsuits
true.
before,
I was in a lawsuit where I had a guy trying to steal a property from me, and the attorney
yep.
said, "Hey, like, you can't talk about any of the details that are going on here publicly. You can't go on and do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do." And that's just the position you're put in. That's where Richard's at,
And that's what you pay them to do. Like, that's part of like they're your legal defense, or to help you get through the mess and protect you. And that's part of the protecting. They understand the law so well, they're able to go, hey, look, bro, you probably shouldn't say that here. We're going to cut that out. Okay, you probably shouldn't even tweet that. Stop. I'm sure they look at that stuff. They look at all of it, right? And yeah, I mean, guys, just be patient, and we're going to see these things come to fruition again. And in the meantime, like I said, you don't have to be in crypto Twitter every single day, FOMOing in every single little thing that's launching. You just don't, you don't, right? And yeah, it's because of the boredom. That's for sure.
Agreed. Sorry to hear this, Luke. He says I can unfortunately confirm he did drain wallets. Hope karma catches up to him. So let's talk about what you would do, right, Corey? So you and I, we saw the writing on the wall. We didn't get involved in this one. For anyone that did get caught, what would you do, or what would be your sentiment to those people right now moving forward?
What's my sentiment for them? I mean, my heart goes out to them, of course, because I mean, they've lost, money, hard-earned money, hard-earned, liquidity that they put in the crypto, or they've rolled over from other ecosystems. It's tough, man. My heart goes out to these guys, but I would also say, take a step back, realize some of the lessons that you learned out of this, and remember, for me, I don't ever put the blame on somebody else, and even if it's a scammer. It's just not how I do. I take a step back. I analyze what I did wrong, and I make sure that what I did wrong never happens again in the future. And I've done this my whole entire entrepreneurial journey. Back when I was even flipping houses and doing wholesaling and real estate, like that's what I would do when I would make a big mistake. I mean, I tell people a lot of times, I've even said on the show, my third real estate deal, I lost $250,000. I lost my life savings. I lost my 401k money. It wiped me out. I still had my job, thank goodness. So I had a good job making some money. And like, I took a step back and I go, what in the hell did I do wrong here? I got scammed by a contractor who had a very elaborate scam that took me through the cleaners. Did I just only blame him and cuss him out and say like, oh, this is a scam, I'm not ever doing real estate again, this guy? No, I took a step back and I really did some inner work. I'm like, what did I do wrong here? And how can I prevent this from happening again? Because he is not going to be the last scammer. He's just not, right? Even in real estate, where you have very strict regulation, you still have scammers out there doing this work in the system. It's in crypto, man, this is like, there's no regulation, right? And so we have to take self-accountability on all the stuff that we do and the decisions we make and the buttons we push. What can we do to eliminate this from happening again in the future? And I hope it's not, oh, I'm never doing crypto again. Because had I walked away from that real estate deal, I'm like, I'm never doing real estate again. Well, I would still be working. I was like a casino blackjack dealer. I'd still be in the casino dealing cards today. I wouldn't be living here in Puerto Rico, enjoying, the crypto journey here with you guys. I would have never met Dane. All these different things would have never happened. And I didn't say, "Oh, real estate's a scam," and just walk away. I wanted to learn the lessons. That was that was unfortunately a very tough pill to swallow. I never got my $250, my 250 grand back, guys. I never got it back. It's gone, and it's gone for a fact. That contractor passed away 2 years ago. I heard about when he passed, and I was like, "Well, there goes that." Okay, even if I had lawsuits, like I'm not getting shit out of him or his
Can't collect
family.
that
Like it's
now.
gone, bro. That 250 is out the window, and that's fine. I'm okay with it because the lessons I learned. I never got scammed by another contractor ever again, and I made a shit ton of money in real estate, guys, shit ton of money. And so it's the same in crypto. This is no different. Don't blame the scammer. Take a step back and go, okay, what can I do differently moving forward so that this never happens again? That's it.
And here's the good news: is you still have time. Like I think we still got maybe another few months here at these lows where we ideally kind of range sideways. Maybe we trend up or down a little, but I don't think we have a lot more. Now, once again, we could. I don't think we have a ton more downward price action though, and so you still have time to try to get some more cash into the system so that you have some upside. And you have to make a decision of how you want to manage your risk moving forward. Corey and I have done really well on some of the alternative coins and the memes and stuff on Pulse Chain, and some of them have kicked us in the nuts.
Yeah.
And you learn pretty rapidly about how you're managing risk and how you want to do it moving forward. And so I'd suggest putting a plan in place, building some parameters, and saying, hey, if I do want to participate in things like this that are new and flashy, figure out maybe it's a percentage or a set amount of money and say, hey, like I'm only willing to risk this much, because if it goes bad, it could, literally could go to zero. And so that's how I would approach it. And also anytime you're participating in something that's brand new like this, you could go and grab your MetaMask. Like, even if you want to not have to deal with a hardware wallet, you could just go create a new wallet in there in 2 seconds and test it out and go and put a little bit of money in. That way you're not risking anything else. It's not touching anything else. And you're mitigating risk in that respect. So those are a few things that I would recommend and I would utilize moving forward. But I'm telling you, like, you still have time if you want it. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not suggesting that you should go do this, but man, like, imagine going and finding some unique places where you could pull some capital. Corey and I have done huge credit card stacks of 6 figures and credit cards at 0% interest for 12 to 24 months to build businesses. That's a really powerful tool to go and build businesses. I'm not saying you should go and do that and put it all into crypto. I'm just saying, like, there's creative ways you could get your hands on more capital out there. Think outside the box. There's more than just like trying to make money from your job. And so I would get creative and say, where's your comfort level at? And try to figure out some different things that you could do, because you still have time right now, but I don't think a ton of time.
One of my favorite ways of tapping into liquidity that you may or may not have is through a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. So if you own a house and you have some equity in there, you could tap into that equity through a HELOC. And I love HELOCs. They're the most forgiving and easy loans you could have. They almost look like a credit card. So when you have the loan out, you're paying the interest on that loan, and then you can put it back in. You don't have to refinance every time you're pulling the money out, putting it back in. You can just put the money back in when you're not using it, and then you pull it out again, and you just keep doing this as many times as you want, and it's for 10 years. They're one of the most easy loans that you could possibly get. And so, like, there's options like that out there if you own property or if you live in a house. Like, once again, I'm not advising that. We're not financial advisors at all. We don't even play one on TV, which is this right here. And so, this is not what we do. You can go talk to a financial advisor and go buy stocks and bonds. That's what Sami always says. But you do have options. There's a lot of options out there to tap into to some money that you need. So, yeah.
Yep. And you got to figure out how to manage risk and how you want to build things out yourself. But gosh, like, I would try to find ways to get creative here. and manage risk well. If you're going to use an option like one of those two, I would play things way safer than you might otherwise. So yeah.
Now, one of my safest plays right now in crypto, if you're interested in something like this, is going to just like being in a stability pool and for one of the the what is it, the liquid loans, and then the gosh, can't even think of the names, right? Yeah, the earn protocol. You got stability pools over there. You can put stable coins in, use that interest to go and do your DCAing with, or even two fucks has some pretty cool stability liquidity pools that you could be in that have some pretty high APYs. And so there's some very conservative, real conservative ways to participate in crypto without like risking the bullet too much. So it's just something to think about when you're really trying to be risk off versus risk on, which the most risk on is like buying the new meme coin of the day, or participating in the new whatever it is that just launched. Without getting any kind of like, oh, there's an audited, or who's behind this? Like, what is it, a fork of something else? Like, there's so many different things that you can kind of go through and do due diligence on. And even then, you can like, okay, well, I'm going to sit out for, 6 months and let this thing kind of run its course. And that would be a very conservative way to see if, if this thing is something. Because if it is something, it's going to be around in 6 months and they'll still be paying okay APYs. You don't have to go rush in and try to grab the 1,000% APY right out of the gate. Yeah, I've learned that back when when I got into crypto, I was big into Phantom, and they used to have like they were real big into DeFi back then. This was back in the last cycle. And they'd have this big 1,000% APYs, 1,500% APYs, 2,000. It was wild, man. And every time I go into one of them, I just get smashed. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And I just didn't know at the time. But once again, I took a step back and I'm like, oh, it's because it's just all a big old Ponzi, or what, if there's some that were Ponzi's, or some was just a very high inflation, and everyone is just dumping on your head. And so it's just, yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Go buy ETH if you want to play it real conservative.
Oh, there's the next conservative. Yeah, that's a good point, Dane. I'm glad you said that. If you want a little bit of upside potential and you want to be very conservative, yeah, freaking just go buy Ethereum, man. Like, it's like you're front running Wall Street right now. Really, it's what you're doing. I mean, our markets, or the crypto market, is so immature and so new that there's always inefficiencies in the market, and there's always opportunities in the market, and you can spot these pretty easily. Like, stuff just needs to get priced in just because it's not the way it works. And like ETH is a good example of that. Like, you could go buy ETH for $3,300. What's it going to be worth in the top of the bull? I don't know, 7 grand, 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand, 30 grand. I don't know the answer to that, but I bet it's a lot more than $3,300. I bet it's a lot more than that. And that could just be a very conservative way. So, hey, I'm going to try to get a 5X of my money and not be rugged. And because I have this loan out on my house. I don't know. Just speaking hypothetically here. That's a great example there, Dane. Glad you brought it up. I love that play. I tell some of my entrepreneurial friends, like, man, Corey, I don't want to go down the deep rabbit hole that you and Dane are. Just give me one play. There's your one play, and you're going to be ultra conservative. That's your one play. There it is. And you want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit more, then we can have a conversation about that. But there's your one ultra conservative play. So,
yeah, agreed. This is an interesting one. Yeah, I can't comment specifically. I haven't seen this myself. It just says Crypto Coffee was defending Latina as well, worrying people with a bigger following need to think twice before endorsing people. Yeah, I mean, I've got a few different thoughts on that. The first is that people, you have every right to say whatever you want to say on your channel, right? And so if you're out here streaming and you have an opinion, you have every right to say whatever you're going to say on your show. I think it's up to the consumer, the person that's consuming the content, to determine how reputable your opinions are and how
that's
much.
Funny, Dane. Once again, it's me that's got to be responsible.
Yeah. So like, I'll give you another really good example. What example do I want to give? There's at the university that I went to for my undergraduate degree, there's a big uproar right now because it appears like they were covering up a bunch of sexual abuse cases, which is terrible. It's really unfortunate, and it came from people in powerful positions, apparently, from what I could tell at the university. And so I'm telling you guys, like, if you wanna refer to a biblical, a biblical verse, right? There's or there's wolves in sheep's clothing everywhere, in every community, in every instance. It doesn't matter if it's
Every
government,
industry.
authority, doctors, church. There's freaking wolves everywhere, and you need to learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones, no matter the circumstance. And so, yeah, I would just take this as a big learning experience and say, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Make some adjustments. All you got to do is make it to 2025. I'm telling you, like, I think that's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's still another 6 months, Dane.
Right. It's true. Right. Right. But that's all. I mean, literally, go buy what you believe in, and then take a break and give it
Yeah.
6 months. Like,
And I love Crypto Coffee, man. You know, I know him personally. He's a good dude, and I don't think he was involved in or participating in the DeFi protocol. He's probably just cheering on, and I don't know for sure, right? I'm speculating here, but he was probably just cheering on Pulse Latina because she was like this big, like, Pulse Chain cheerleader, and that's why people liked her and they were following her. And of course, she's freaking cute. So, like, all right, So yeah, but obviously maybe he's also like, man, I need to reassess how I talk about people on Twitter and on my show. Like, that's what I'd be doing if I was in that situation. But to each their own too.
yep, exactly. Crypto 7 disagrees with you, though, Corey.
Yeah. I mean, she was okay.
She's
Yeah.
cute.
If you saw my wife, you would know what type I like. more. She wasn't exactly my type, but yeah, she was cute, and a lot of guys. I'm sure she was a lot of guys' types. But I get it, Crypto 7. I get it. It's
Yeah. Oh, thanks for fixing this for me, K Crypto. Rand called it the most hated rally. Yeah, it's I'm telling you, just make it to 2025. I really think that you can keep this relatively simple. In fact, we talk about this in our community a lot. One of the points of feedback we get from new people that we help onboard into crypto is they're like, I feel like there's so much that I need to be doing all of the time. And it can feel that way, but it doesn't have to be that way. You need to build a framework that works for you and not you for it, right? And so that's the beautiful thing is you get to make the choice. So for me, I like a little bit more passive approach where I don't want to feel like I'm doing a ton of things, and that works for me. That's a framework that I'm comfortable with, and it keeps me in the game. Corey really enjoys all the doing, and that works for him. And that's the beauty of this is you figure out what works for you and build a framework that makes sense so you can stay in the game. We've talked about this before in the show. You don't get fit once and say, I never want to be fit again. You get fit to stay that way. You don't get married once to say, I check that off my list. I don't need to be married anymore. You hope to be married forever, right? You build a business not once to check that off. You build a business to ideally have sustainability and profitability for a long period of time. And crypto's the same. You just need to build a framework that you can stay in the game and be patient. So whatever that looks like for you, you got to find that balance.
Yep. And I want to comment on this, and I would disagree or protections, although I think you're joking, but everything is my fault. In fact, where I'm at in my life, my finances, my spirituality with God, my mental state, my physical state, my relationship with my family, once again, my money, everything in my life is because of me and the decisions I've made along the journey of my life, including the good stuff too. Like, you have to give yourself credit where credit's due, right? And so, like, if good things are happening in your life and you're making money and you had some wins, like, pat yourself on the back, go reward yourself with a small vacation or whatever it may be. Like, you need to, like, also when not just the bad stuff, but the good stuff, make sure that you're rewarding yourself. So not only your subconscious is like make it, ticking that off and, oh, like we did good, but also you're conscious too. And so it works both ways, but exactly where you're at in your life today is all your fault and was based off of the decisions that you made up to this point.
In fact, there's a really good book. If you guys have not read this one, you should go and order it. In fact, I'll share it with you here.
Share it.
This is a book called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and it's a great book. He goes in and he uses his experience as a Navy SEAL to talk about taking ownership back in your life. And he goes on, and there was a point in the book that that frankly threw me off because he came out and he said that even as somebody that experienced something incredibly traumatic like rape, for instance, or incest, that if you were in that position, that you could take ownership of that scenario and not place blame on the person that perpetrated the trauma. And I kind of kicked me in the nuts there when I read that part of the book, and I immediately disagreed. But as I read on, he talks about taking the power back in that situation, that if you keep yourself in a state of victimhood, then you keep that aggressor or that transgressor, you keep them in a power position instead of taking the power back yourself. And
Yep.
so you can look at a situation like that, you can take ownership of it and figure out what to do to put yourself in a position so that ideally you can limit those bad things from happening again. You can take all the power back in your own life and be able to go and ideally make the life of your dreams by taking those steps. So really powerful book. Amazon, it's $13. Heavily recommend breaking this one out.
That's great. And playing the victim is the number one reason why society does not have success in their life, is because it's always someone else's fault. It's the government's fault. It's inflation's fault. It's the president's fault. It's your mom and dad's fault. It's, it's your friends, whatever. It's never you. You have to take responsibility and own it. If you want to have true success in your life, and not just in money, guys. I mean, money's great, but it's not everything. For me, I have the 4 pillars I live by: spirituality, mental, physical, and then financial, which is money, right? You need it, you have it, you're gonna want more of it. But same with all the other 3. Like, I always want to be improving myself 1% better all the time in all 4 of those buckets. And it's not by playing the victim.
Agreed. Oh yeah, retrostatic. I think you're referencing Jocko here. So Jocko shares a story on some of his social media. When he was in the Navy SEALs, he had one particular person in his, and I'm probably going to use the vernacular wrong. If you guys have served our country, forgive my lack of knowledge of the proper vernacular here. But somebody in his platoon or his group or whatever, however you reference it, he would often come to Jocko, who was the team lead, and say, "Oh, we've got this problem." And Jocko would always reply, "Good." And he would leave it at that. And he would come, so that happened over and over and over. And, and the guy came to him again with another problem. And he said, he asked the guy, he said, "Well, how do you think I'm going to respond?" He says, "Well, I know how you're going to respond. You're just going to say good." And he said, "That's right, because we can use these, long story short, we can use these experiences to learn, to get more refined, to get sharper, to get better at what we do, to get more tactical. And it's up to you how you treat those types of circumstances." So I had a cryptocurrency that I bought a few months ago that I over leveraged myself on, and I got kicked in the nuts on it. And it was 100% my own fault. But I learned a lot from that experience. I was playing a little bit too loose with too much of my money, not all of my money, thank goodness. But I was playing a little too loose with more than I should have. I wasn't managing my risk well, and I learned from that. So now I pulled back a little bit, right? And I'm playing a lot more conservative. And I'm glad that I had that experience now before I got left
100%.
behind. So I have an opportunity to like reconfigure and position myself. So I've repositioned myself in place. I'm still really happy. I'd like to have that money back, but it is what it is. And I learned from that experience. So it's up to you how you're going to deal with those things.
Oh, perfectly well said.
Yep. Yeah, Mitch has been there too. I feel you, brother. Yep. We'll learn and grow, and it'll be all right.
That's why Mitch is in our community. So
yep. That's right. I learned a big experience. Yeah, and you learn the most from the losses. You know what I mean? You learn the
You
most from
do.
those. Mhm.
Yeah, the wins are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love a good win, and I love like a good wire to the bank account, or maybe it's like, you know, a massive vacation you're doing to reward yourself for that win. Like, I love a good win, man. But you know, how do you get more wins? It's by having losses. That's the lessons you'll learn from the losses that gives you the wins. So the only way I'm gonna get more wins, unfortunately, is by getting some more losses. They don't have to be big L's, but there are going to be times that they are big L's. Like in my $250,000 experience that I went through, that was a very painful experience at the time. But now I look back and it's not painful at all anymore. In fact, it was what fueled me through my entrepreneurial journey, and I mean, I made a lot of money based off of that decision now. So.
Yeah. Corey is more elevated than me. I still remember the pain very well from some of those losses
It
back in
sucks, man.
real
It
estate.
sucks. I get it. I mean, like what? Why would I want that $250,000 back now? Sure.
Of
I'd be
course,
putting in pulse chain.
right,
It
right.
would go in the pulse chain and then with you guys. But you know, it's just yeah. But then again, if I took that back, would I had my 10-year entrepreneurial journey that's led me to here? I don't think I would. I don't think I would.
Yep, agreed. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, Moondog. Good for you. What a cool opportunity. I had the privilege to shake hands with Jocko a few years back. Hell of a man. Good to know he exists among us. Yeah, a lot of good content. If you're not following somebody like him, you should be feeling. I'm telling you, I think my wife and I. So we'll go a little bit different direction here, Corey. My wife and I were talking about some of the election stuff that's come up and things of that nature, and my wife and I have quite a few differing opinions politically, and it's really
Mm.
healthy to be able to have
Oh
those
yeah.
discussions. We could talk about them like adults. I actually really enjoy that part about our relationship
You don't
because
get toxic and call our names on Twitter.
can you imagine? I call my wife a bunch of crazy things and act. Yeah, no, we don't do that. Uh, but it's really healthy for my perspective to be able to take a look back and see why I believe what I believe and if my thought processes hold up and my actions, right, amidst some scrutiny. And we were talking about things that you could change to make society better. And I have a pretty strong belief that I think social media is one of the biggest problems that we have, period. I think that if you got rid of social media, I want to keep the internet. But if you got rid of social media overnight, I think you literally solve a lot of the problems that we have in an instant because the algorithms associated there and the amount of time that we all spend on social media platforms, I'm telling you, I think those are manipulating us in such a strong way that a lot of us have no idea is actually occurring, and it's shaping our behavior in
Sure.
negative ways for profit. That it's a huge negative externality. So if you are consuming social media, do your best to fill it with stuff that's worth your time. It's worthwhile to be able to actually build you up, give you knowledge that can benefit your life. I love a dumb cat video and something funny like anybody else. But gosh, after an hour of scrolling through dumb, funny videos, I got nothing out of it. Right. So,
Right. And you weren't productive that day and you weren't
right,
growing yourself. You weren't growing spiritually, mentally, physically, or financially.
right.
You're not, like, people think you have to be on Twitter 24/7 to like make it in this crypto game. I would 100% disagree with that. In fact, it's a good way of getting wrecked, if anything. Now, there's nothing wrong with plugging in once in a while, but it's doing with a lot of restraint and with a lot of responsibility. So that's a good point, Dane. I think it's yeah, I even myself, I take step backs, and I have a little vacation coming up over here to the Spanish Virgin Islands. I'm sorry, yeah, that's what it is, Spanish Virgin Islands, out here in Puerto Rico with my brother and my sister. It's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna vow to myself not to do social media at that time, and to disconnect from crypto, and just to give myself a little bit of like that disconnect that is much needed for all of us. And so, yeah, that's my opinion with that. You got to learn to unplug from that stuff because it can be so bad, and how to filter it. I mean, Dane, you do a great job. I've seen you do it, man. You go out there, you're like, mute, 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 block, 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 mute, mute, mute. You're
Right.
like Brizology out there, man. Brizology's got like a 16-foot wall of like nothing but mute and blocks, right? And so, like, you just, yeah, and that's because you're protecting your little world that you're living in there with social media. And that's perfectly fine.
Right.
You don't have to go and cuss the guy out and point fingers at him before you block him like everyone else does on crypto Twitter, not our guys in our chat, because these guys come to our show because they're not like that. But all the other guys, you don't got to do that and create all this controversy and start arguing and fighting and calling names and like, oh my gosh, before you hit the block button. Like, come on, man. Just
I
mute
would
it.
argue it's critical. I think it's critical to sift that stuff out. In fact, this was a funny clip. So talking about dumb, funny clips, I ran across this clip where there was a youth pastor, pastor, and there was a clip of him, and he was like giving a sermon. He was like, "Everyone should get off TikTok. It's just a bunch of sexy girls dancing." And one of the comments was, "Bro, it's an algorithm." And and you get more of what you consume, right? The algorithm learns very quickly, so it's pretty
Of
clear
what you like.
what he was consuming, right? And so I found that, if you block out the garbage, if you like and spend time on things that are good and valuable, it feeds you more of those things, right? And you have control over that. You can shift and shape your life how you want. So I could beat that. I could beat that till we're dead. I think that's really important, though.
It is. It is. And well said. Well said, man.
Yep. Cool. Anything you want to hit on before we kind of round out today, Corey?
Nah, man. Yeah, just to, like Seven here, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Also, we love Seven show too, man. I was watching you with Tangent. I think it was this morning. And so, man, yeah, I love the positivity in his show. And that's how I watch anybody's YouTube that has that positivity. That's why I love like Randy Holarski. There's some good ones out there, man, that don't go out there and spew garbage all day long. And yeah, that's it. We're here all week, guys. Open mic Friday. This Friday, we'll love to have you guys come on, wrap anything crypto, anything money, anything real estate. We can talk about the 4 pillars of life: spirituality, mental, physical, and financial, and how they get better in those things. I would love to have a conversation with some of you guys about that. Last week, Dane, we had some guys on. We had a nice book review. Like we had a recommended like 3 or 4 different books.
Oh, cool.
It talked about like why they were good and why I loved them and why other people did too. It was a blast of a conversation. And so, yeah, guys, hit the likes, smash that bell notification. If you're over on Twitter and you're not a bot, come over and help the algorithm on YouTube so we can push the good word of crypto, of mindset, of just, taking our family along for this fun ride where we're going to use cryptocurrencies as a wealth creation tool, use real estate as a wealth preservation tool, maybe have some personal self-development, some growth while we go through all this too. It's fun, guys, to grow. I love it. I love getting out of my comfort zone, and you should too. So, all right, guys. Yep, that's it. We'll see you mañana.
Yep. See you guys then.